Alright, so today we have a fun video planned out. Today we are going to be doing the Roblox GORE tier list. So how this is going to work, we're going to be rating not the game itself, but only the GORE. And if you guys could subscribe, that'd be amazing because lately YouTube's been striking down these videos like no tomorrow. So I have 10 different blood engines of 10 different eras, and we're gonna have some fun. Now, obviously, just like any other tier list, this is gonna be ranked through S through F. S obviously being the best, and F obviously being the worst. So put your predictions down, which game is gonna get what, because we have quite the variations of games here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Our first game up is Euphoria Blood Testing. Now, Euphoria Blood Testing is kind of weird because all of its instances on Roblox have been kind of stolen. And I'm going to be honest with you, I can't track the origin of this game, besides the fact that I know the developers themselves, but I can't find the original Euphoria Blood Testing game. But let's talk about what the GORE engine does right and what it does wrong. First things first, let's talk about the bullet holes, because no other GORE engine does bullet holes the way Euphoria Blood Engine does bullet holes. You see, with Euphoria, there is an entry and there is an exit wound. Granted, it's not the coolest looking thing in the world, but it's the attention to detail. If you shoot somebody in their arm, you're going to see a bullet hole in their arm, and you're going to see an exit wound on the other side of that arm. However, what Euphoria Blood Testing doesn't really do that well is the whole realism thing. For whatever odd reason, the texture of the blood just really isn't that good, and it kind of almost looks like a metal, to be honest with you. And the blood pools are kind of all over the place. They could be stuck on the body, they could be on the floor. It's incomplete, and it needs a lot of fine tuning. But sadly, I don't think we're ever going to see that. So because of that, I'm going to put this one at a C tier. Our next game up is Combat Warriors. Now, I know what you're thinking. Combat Warriors isn't inherently a GORE game, but it does feature a pretty cool blood engine I'd like to talk about. So, unlike Euphoria Blood Testing, Combat Warriors has a reasonably realistic GORE engine. Honestly, it's one of my favorites when it comes to the whole blood thing, but when it comes to the GORE and the bits itself, it's kind of lacking. Obviously, because Combat Warriors is such a big game, it has standards it needs to meet, so it can be played on Roblox by a bunch of people. And sadly, because of that, it limits it a lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you take somebody's arm off or take somebody's leg off, you just have like a little bone sticking out. Nothing too crazy, but you do have a lot of blood, which I will give the credit to them. The blood looks really, really nice, but blood cannot win me over. So I'm gonna go ahead and also put this at a C tier. Our next game up is Blood Engine, or also known as Euphoria's successor, I guess? It's honestly one of my personal favorite GORE engines out there because it does everything so perfectly. If we're talking about blood, the blood is absolutely perfect. When you take off somebody's arm, it actually shoots out blood for a little bit and then slowly stops, which is something that doesn't really happen in many games, and it's actually pretty complex, and it's just amazing. And if we're talking about the bits and the GORE itself, I mean, I've used Blood Engine as my YouTube thumbnails for quite a long time now because they get the most clicks and they're really, 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 really nice. Like, when it comes down to it, this is one of the best Roblox GORE engines out there, and it's an obviously easy S tier. Coming up next is Neighborhood War. Now, Neighborhood War is interesting because it is one of the first instances of dedicated game just strictly to blood and just violence. I would say it single-handedly birthed the genre of the whole Roblox GORE thing, but obviously it didn't popularize it. So let's talk about things I like about it. I like how in Neighborhood War with the GORE, you can toggle how much GORE you really, really, really want. Now, to say that the GORE is kind of good, that'd be a lie. The GORE isn't anything special. It's mostly just made for shock value, and once you kind of play it for a little bit, you kind of get used to it, and it's not like really that compelling. You could honestly put it in any Roblox game, and I wouldn't really think twice about it. Maybe I'd look at it for a second, but I wouldn't go crazy about it. However, because you can customize the GORE though, and you can type in how much you actually want, this game on good PCs is the goriest game on Roblox by far. And because of that, it's gotta be an A tier. It's the only game that allows us to actually customize how much blood we want, and it's one of the first, so you gotta respect the GOAT, right? Coming up next is Glory Kill Testing. Now, this game I have mixed feelings about because on one hand, glory kills are pretty cool and it does it really, really well. But on the other hand, the engine itself really isn't anything special. If we were talking just based on animations alone, this game would be an S tier, but if we're just talking about gore itself and gore alone, well, this can't score that high because there really isn't much of it. Sure, I mean, there's the blood splatters here and there, you know, you can cut somebody in half, but it doesn't look really realistic. It looks like it's on Roblox, and you know, it's fair, it's a Roblox game. It's nothing that's gonna make me question my existence and my sanity and why I'm doing this. So because of that, I'm gonna have to give it a D tier. Coming up next is Phantom Forces. Now, before you click off the video, let me explain why I put Phantom Forces in here. Phantom Forces was a game made in 2014, and it actually did have blood. I say did because they actually just recently removed it to comply with Roblox's new age guidelines. Which, it's kind of weird that that's how that works with the age guidelines now. Like, if this was like 10 years ago or like 5 years ago, the guns alone would make it a mature game, but apparently not anymore with the games like Fortnite and just, I guess, the desensitization of guns in general. People don't really care about it anymore, but I guess we draw the line at blood, so. And because the game was made in 2014, the blood really isn't anything special. It's literally just circles of just red splatter. That's it. It is by far the worst blood on the list, and I thought I would just include it in here just to show how low the bar can be set. And no, this is not an attack on Phantom Forces. Phantom Forces is an amazing game, but like I said, when it comes to blood, yeah, no. So this game is gonna be put in the F tier. Next game up is Redbox 2. Now, Redbox 2 is arguably one of the most important games in Roblox GORE because it's one of the games that really set it off. It's probably the most well-known gore engine out there at the moment, and it's pretty cool. Sadly, because of Roblox's guidelines and Redbox being taken down over and over and over and over again, you can only find stolen copies of the gore itself, but the gore is still pretty dang good. Now, in terms of the blood and gore itself, amazing. Obviously, easy S tier. I mean, there's not really much to say. It's one of the catalysts of the gore genre and one of the catalysts of my channel. Even though Redbox 2 is now a relic of the past, I mean, if you just take a good look at the gore, it's not the best in the world. We're not talking like blood engine level, but for its time, it's pretty amazing. So let's talk about Untitled Shooter, not the second one, just the first one right now. Untitled Shooter is an interesting one because it was the predecessor to Redbox and Untitled Shooter 2. These games were made around all by the same developers, and they all kind of look very similar. But because it's a predecessor, obviously it's going to be worse than Redbox 2 and Untitled Shooter, even though that this was the foundation for many great things. It's incomplete, and it needs a little bit of touching up. So because of that, we're going to put this in B tier. Our next game is, well, Untitled Shooter 2. Now, if we're talking like on a comparative level, it's up there with Blood Engine. Like, it's the only two games that really rival each other in terms of how good the gore is. Like I said, it's used on my thumbnails all the time, and I'm pretty sure it's actually used on a thumbnail for this video. So because of that, and because how well it's used and all the new gore with it, it's obviously an S tier, and it is just so amazing. It holds as the thumbnails to some of my most popular Roblox GORE videos, so obviously I gotta give credit where credit is due. Untitled Shooter 2 was an amazing sequel, and hopefully the third installment is even better. And yeah, there is a third installment coming. And for our final game, we have Neighborhood War again, except the newer version to it that's being remastered. Now, if Neighborhood War itself is an A tier, obviously Neighborhood War Remastered is gonna be an S tier. It is up there with Blood Engine, Redbox, and Untitled Shooter when it comes to its gore. Even though it's not out yet, I can promise you that when this comes out, it's going to be the best game on Roblox, period. That is a big statement to say, but unlike all these other games, Neighborhood War has content to back it up with. The blood and gore is a clear step up from the previous version, so there really is no other place that I can put besides S tier. But hey, that was my list. If you agree with me, let me know, but if you don't, I have it linked in the description down below, and go ahead and make your own tier list and send it to me on Discord because I would love to see your guys' opinions. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoy the video, these take a while to make, actually, like a long while. So if you could leave a like, that would mean the world to me, and if you could subscribe, that'd be awesome too. Anyways, guys, I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!